And we will go ahead and get started. So our agenda for today, we have first I'll do some introductions. I am Dr. Cremone. I am the middle school principal. This is now my 6th month as principal here. I just started at the beginning of the school year. So I'm really excited to be getting to know so many of your children. It's been just a really great start to the school year. We also have with us Dr. Maurer. I'll let you go ahead.
Hi, sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Maurer here. I have been here for 6 years in this role as an associate principal. So happy to be with everybody today and happy to be working along with Dr. Cremone. And with us today, we also have a special guest, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Herring. He can introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just flat out excited and honored to be here today. My name is Chuck Herring, and I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for South Fayette Township School District. And I see some names on here that I do know. And as a matter of fact, I see Mrs. Marks, and I was just with Cohen maybe about 45 minutes, an hour ago. We had great conversation for about 15 minutes. He's an amazing kid.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much for being here today. So as you can see, our agenda for the day. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, and I'm actually going to turn it over to Dr. Herring to talk a little bit about Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is quickly approaching.
Thank you, Dr. Cremone. Yeah, we're doing something here in the middle school. It's a little bit different. It's actually being led by the student group Shout, as you can see behind me. Shout stands for Social Handprints Overcoming Unjust Treatment. They've been doing some amazing work. For those of you who don't know what Shout is, it's an organization that focuses on helping kids find a sense of belonging in the school. So no matter what group you belong to, what nationality, what religion, whatever, the kids all work together. They have a common goal of helping kids feel great through the Handprints Heal Footprints framework. A footprint is an intentional act that causes harm to someone or something, and a handprint is an intentional act to overcome or offset that footprint. As a matter of fact, kids, they wrote a book, and it's amazing. That's my plug for Shout. But the Shout kids actually are put together this idea for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And what we're doing here in the middle school is as you can see on the slide, that there are sentence starters. And what they did was they went all of the kids in the school during their English and or their language, ELA, English Language Arts, or history classes to take a Post-it note and to place that Post-it note with the sentence starter to be able to say, so for example, MLK is important to history because he helped us bring, one kid, when we were talking, they said, he helped us be able to have teachers like you in our building, Dr. Herring. And I'm like, that's true. So yeah, so MLK is important. So they would write that down and they're going to post it up onto that poster. And then what we're going to do is we're going to laminate it and we're going to make it into some type of permanent artifact, basically so the kids can do things until we could get back to our day of giving, which we had done prior to the pandemic. So I'm really excited because this is just totally kids thought of, kid ready, kid friendly, and they made it happen. So we're looking forward to seeing what they do with this. Next, going right after this, next month is Black History Month. And Black History Month is, the one thing about the district that I really find important and that makes me proud to be a part of this district is that we do have Black History Month, but we also celebrate all cultures all year round. And we're working on getting better at that day by day, inch by inch. And it's like I tell people sometimes we don't necessarily hit the mark, but we're always progressing toward the mark. And so always about progress, not perfection, because we're working towards that goal. And but with Black History Month coming up, this is our second year of doing our vertically aligned Black History Month lesson. So we took last year several days, several teachers and myself, and we put together scope and sequence of some really cool lessons for our kids. So just understanding vocabulary, different activities and whatnot, and the themes of the day. Some of our themes we have for sixth grade, we have famous Pittsburghers. And some of the famous Pittsburghers, we have, are you, okay, perfect. So Roberto Clemente, most older Pittsburghers know about Roberto Clemente, but the kids, they may not know because Roberto Clemente actually died 50 years ago this month, which is really crazy. I can't believe it's 50 years ago, but yeah, it's 1972. He passed away. And but Elaine Arrington, not a lot of people know about Elaine Arrington, but Elaine Arrington, I didn't even know about her until she was my next door neighbor. And she's a professor at Pitt Emeritus, and she actually was the first woman to graduate from the University of Pittsburgh with a mechanical engineering degree. And she actually scored the second highest score in the nation on SAT when she graduated from, it was Homestead High School, which is now Still Valley High School. And she, but unfortunately, back in 1957, because she was Black and because she was a female, they wouldn't allow her to be the valedictorian of her. Well, she was the valedictorian, but she couldn't give the valedictorian address because she was Black and a female. So they let a white male give that address. But now Dr. Arrington, she was also the 17th woman to receive their PhDs in, I believe it is engineering, but I'm not 100% sure. I need to look at that. There's somebody here that Dr. Cremone would like to talk about, the next person.
So Swin Cash, I have a personal connection to. I actually played basketball with her when I was younger, that she then played for the WNBA. And when I say played with her, I mean, she was amazing and I sat the bench a lot. So, but we were on the same team for a traveling AAU team. So, but she was an amazing person, not just because of her gifts athletically, but she always was giving back to the community, even when we were kids, even we were like 14, 15 years old. She always wanted to help younger kids. And she is a true role model for our students.
And Swin Cash actually has a major job with the NBA right now. She's an NBA executive, like at the NBA offices. So she's doing some phenomenal things, and an Olympian on top of that. So, and then the last person, famous Pittsburgher that we have here is Mr. Tony Brown. And Tony Brown is actually a South Fayette alum. He graduated from South Fayette in the late 50s, I believe. But he's a world-renowned opera singer, an educator. He actually lives here in South Fayette. They named the street after him. It's Brown Lane. It's like not even a mile away from the campus. He built a log cabin on that property that he grew up on, which is really cool. So Mr. Brown is doing some amazing things. He actually just released a holiday album for Christmas with Christmas tunes just last month. So he's still rocking and rolling and doing his thing. So again, that's some of the people that we're talking about here. The sixth graders will learn about. If we want to go to seventh grade. So seventh grade is all about belonging, and we have similar vocabulary words. We have a similar intro for all three grade levels, but this sense of belonging is definitely huge because when people talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, the main thing that the people leave out is a sense of belonging. And what do I mean by that? You can have a diverse population. You can have equity, meaning that everybody gets what they need. They can be included, meaning that they're invited to the party. But if they're invited, but they don't feel like they're actually their voices being heard, or if people don't understand how to interact with them, or they don't know how to interact with others, then there is no sense of belonging. And so we are a firm advocate of making sure that our students all feel like that they belong here at South Fayette, because South Fayette is their home and they're part of the South Fayette family. One of the things that major activities that we're going to talk about is the Green Book. And the Green Book is, it's a combination of things that are frustrating, sad, frightening, but also inspirational. And what do I mean by that? The Green Book was something that was created by a person, Mr. Green, for Black people to travel throughout the country from, like, say, the 30s until the 70s, when they would drive, because most Black people, like including my family, we would travel to, say, St. Louis or to Alabama or to Georgia, and you had to have the Green Book, because if you didn't have the Green Book, you didn't have a list of places where it might be, where it was safe for you to go. Unfortunately, there were people who would try to harm people who weren't from around that area, who were different. And so the Green Book listed all these different places where you could stay, where you could purchase gas, where you could purchase a meal, where you could get your car fixed, and so on and so forth, in between, your location and your destination. So, and actually there's an interactive piece to that, where the kids are going to be able to map out things on the Green Book and be able to, through the Green Book, and be able to see how long would it take us to be able to find a restroom? How long will it take us to be able to, how many miles will we have to go to be able to find a place where we can actually buy a meal or get gas or do things like that? And then also we're going to be talking about the civil rights movement again, and just different facets of it. It's really, the 50s and the 60s, about that sense of belonging. A lot of times people don't realize this, though, is that when you see things like with Dr. King, and you say, wow, Dr. King did this stuff, but it's so long ago. And one of the things that I had a conversation with a group of students last week about that, and I was like, so it does seem like it's a long time ago, and it's strange to me, because I said, this is in the 60s, but I know for a fact that they had color film in the 30s, because I've seen The Wizard of Oz. And so I was like, The Wizard of Oz was in color. That was in the 30s, and in the 60s, it's still everything in black and white. And actually, we Googled Dr. King in color, and we found all these amazing color images. But we also, and one of the things that the student said is, wow, he looks so much younger. And I said, yeah, so it actually makes you think that it's not so long ago. But another thing that I shared with the students is that it really, I'm gonna give, and actually all of you on the call, I'm gonna give you something that's really ready to blow your mind. So strap yourselves in your seatbelts right now, because this is something that you're gonna say, what? So Dr. King was assassinated April 4th, 1968. I know that because I was born May 12th, 1968. So Dr. King was assassinated 5 weeks before I was born. And so I'm old, but I'm not that old. It's not that long ago that we were in the midst of an American apartheid, Jim Crow and all these different things that are going on. And so it's really important that we just continue to have these conversations, these brave conversations. And one of the things that we do here in South Fayette is that we have these ground rules for conversations as well, brave conversations. And BRAVE is an acronym: bold, relevant, authentic, valuable, and educational. And the kids are all set up so the teachers keep the kids safe by having these ground rules. So we try to mitigate school-based and curriculum-based trauma. So that's that for 7th grade. We want to go to 8th grade. So again, social justice activities. People, again, when we talked about it, and it seems like it's so long ago, it's really just, relatively recent. And in 2020, we went through a major social justice upheaval. And you see underneath Dr. King, we have John Lewis. And John Lewis was, a mentee of Dr. King's, but he also was one of the leaders in voting rights, because in the 60s there were 3 major acts that gave Black people first class and people of color first class citizenship. There was the Civil Rights Act of 1964, there was the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and then there was the Housing Rights Act of 1968. Side note, Dr. Chuck Herring, I am a part of the first cohort of Black people in America to be born as a first-class citizen. That right there is another thing that just like blows my mind when I think about it. My wife, who's a couple of years older than me, wasn't. My mom, my dad, my parents, my cousins, my grandparents, none of them were born as first-class citizens. I'm the first person in my family and part of the first cohort to be given all rights due to American citizens. So again, that's why this stuff is so important. And with John Lewis, the civil rights movement, he was one of the first people who was literally, he had his skull cracked open trying to get voting rights, back on Bloody Sunday, Edmund Pettus Bridge in March of 1965. And right now we're in the midst of a political movement where they're attempting to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act because he almost gave his life he dedicated his life to securing voting rights. But literally back in 1965, he almost gave his life just to get voting rights because, he was the first person to cross that bridge and was trampled by horses and everything else. So not that we're going to be sharing all of that with the students, but we want them to know how hard it was and how much so many people were willing to give up in order to make sure that people like myself could go out and have the right to vote. And so those are types of things that we think about when we talk about social justice and we talk about how we can help each other with these handprints and to help offset those footprints.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Then so what's really cool is you kind of got a first glimpse of what the students will be seeing when we engage in some of these activities for Black History Month. And I didn't click on it, but one of the things, and I don't know if you have seen this with your children at home, but they love Blookits. It's an online game, and they play them in many of their classes. And so Dr. Herring and his team of teachers have embedded some Blookits also to go hands in hand with the learning that's going to be taking place. And the kids get so excited. And what's really cool about that is they're doing learning, they're learning, and they can actually create some Blookits as well. So that will be embedded where they, can create some activities for their classmates about the things that they have learned. So that's in February. And then also in February is Random Acts of Kindness that the Student Council is going to be leading. And the students are really excited. They have been meeting with Miss Connors, Taylor Connors, who is our sponsor for Student Council. And they are going to be doing random acts of kindness for one another and for staff and for the community throughout the month of February. So February is really packed with some great things for our kids. And then we also just entered into a partnership with Priya Arts. And we're going to be promoting a kindness tree in a senior citizens home and also in the middle school. So that's, again, also in February where we'll be working on creating cards and sending messages to some of our senior community members. Priya, who owns the art studio, has worked with many of our students K through 12 really in some of these projects already, and has created this kindness tree in a senior citizens home in the community. And she said the seniors were just beyond excited and beyond happy. It truly made their day. They were keeping cards in their room and they were posting them in their own individual rooms. And so we are going to engage in that same community service and community outreach throughout the month, and hopefully, honestly, throughout the rest of the school year. And then we want to do something similar here in the middle school as well, where kids can write kind words to one another and have it displayed here in the middle school. And then also throughout February in combination with Black History Month and with Kindness Month. We are going to be promoting community service and serving others throughout the month of February. So they all kind of work together as a way to really promote that awareness of one another, awareness of our similarities and differences, and how it's so important to understand one another and to show kindness towards one another. And then the next month, the month of March, is going to be HERstory Month, like history, but HERstory. So Dr. Herring also with the team of teachers worked on this. So Dr. Herring, do you want to take this?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, just similarly to the Black History Month lessons, they're just going to be going through with a similar framework, but a scope and sequence with the theme. 6th grade, it's young women making a difference. And if you take a look, see, we have some phenomenal young women that we're going to be discussing. But this is the main point that we talk about. Could you go back one for me, please, Dr. Cremon?
Sure.
Just really quickly, just some statistics. Everyone is going to go through this framework of the statistics. It's just looking at where women work and how they work, and looking at the discrepancies that women still deal with today, regarding, the pays, the amount of money they get paid, for doing the same jobs and so on and so forth. It's really, I'm a male, but I'm a parent, and I have 3 wonderful adult daughters, and I'm an educator, and I have, hundreds of daughters here, actually a couple of thousand that I've taken under my wing. And it's like, I want them to get all that they're due. I don't want the boys or the men to make more money than my young ladies. I want them to make, actually, I think they should make more, because I've watched them and they work much harder. But that's neither here nor there. But I wanted you to just take a look at that. All the kids are going to be learning these things. But can you go to the next slide, please? So so in 6th grade, it's young women. 7th grade, it's scientists, STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And so we're going to have, just talk about different women and what they did in these fields. And possibly I did these lessons. Well, I worked with a team of teachers to do these lessons a year ago. So I can't remember if we actually have some STEAM activity in here or not, but we do, we probably are tying it in with some STEAM activity, I'm sure. And then if we go to the 8th grade, women activists changing America, and some, women are strong. I mean, one of the things that I admire most about women is that they have the resiliency to be able to, like, I watch my wife and I watch my mom, and I saw them take care of a family and work a full-time job and be there to take care of boo-boos, but also be there to be strong enough to lay down the law when kids got out of hand. I mean, just to see all that, I'm like, I show up and I just sometimes feel useless. But I know that I have my place, but just watching, being able to observe, and now that my children are adults, to be able to watch them turn into young ladies and see how they're really changing the world, it's a beautiful thing to see. And so the kids are going to have an opportunity to have real full-throated discussions about that as well. So that's HERstory Month, and so that's what we have going on in the middle school right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Herring. And I think that your students are in for a really, really big treat these next couple of months. And so thank you again, Dr. Herring. If anybody has a specific question for Dr. Herring, you could either ask it, but if you're not comfortable asking because we're recording, you can certainly feel free to contact him, shoot him an email or a phone call. And he is a wealth of knowledge, and it's really a really great resource that we have here in the district.
Thank you. I'm just some guy. Appreciate you guys. If no questions, anyone? dating myself. Bueller, anything?
All right.
Thank
Thank you, Dr.
you.
Herring. I know you had some meetings this afternoon, so we won't keep you if you need to log off. But thank you again for coming today.
Thank you. Have a great one, everyone.
You too. See ya.
Thank you, Dr. Herring.
So the next thing, we just wanted to recap our Day of Giving that happened on November 22nd. We did a digital breakout room activity. If you didn't talk to your kids about it, I know it's a little bit past the time, but they had such a fun time doing it. Mrs. Harris's homeroom, 7th grade homeroom, was the winner. I think they won by like 8 seconds against some of the other winning homerooms, but they were so into it, and it was really cool to see the kids working together, working in groups, solving problems. Some of the teachers also worked through the activity, and they were so surprised at how wonderful the kids were. Some of the kids actually did better than the teachers when the teachers were working through it. So it was a really fun day for them. And then you can see the 6th grade winning homeroom was Mrs. Cott's. 7th grade winning homeroom was Mr. Richmond, and the 8th grade was Mrs. Speakman. And then they got prizes the day before holiday break, the day before winter break. Each of those winning homerooms were provided some fun and tasty prizes that the kids were pretty excited about too. We also did service projects. We did some no-sew throw blankets for the homeless, and we donated over 60 blankets. We did toys for animal friends and donated over 35 toys. Also, many cards for first responders, service members, community helpers throughout the community. And then Project Pause for the Washington Area Humane Society. One of our 8th graders is very active with the Humane Society in Washington County, and he actually organized a collection, and we had dog food and dog treats and catnip and kitty litter. So just a really great way for our kids to give back to the community. During that, we also had snacks, which, I mean, you guys have middle schoolers. Snacks win all the time with middle school kids. So they bought a lot of snacks, and we raised $1,803.50 for the South Fayette Food and Gift Drive, which we were able to then use that money as district-wide to provide gift cards and a holiday for our families in need here in the community.
You know, Dr. Cremone, I don't think we need to say it. It doesn't need to be said, but I'm going to say it. You know, this year has obviously presented a lot of challenges for us as we continue to navigate kind of what education looks like and what it is amidst a pandemic, you know. And I think one thing we're so proud of is that we're able to provide these activities, these events, these kind of monumental events in middle school, even through this challenging year. And I have to say, you know, that day too, you could just see that the students were appreciative that we were able to take part in something that's meaningful and something that's also fun, and we could do it in a safe way and kind of following all of the mitigation efforts that we've been putting forth in our school this year. So you know, and to raise $1,800, you know, for our own families in need in our own community, I think just, you know, you could tell it was a feel good day. And you know, if you talk to some of the parents on our call today with older children that have gone through the middle school, they'll say these are the events that they remember and they hold on to. You know, the memories, the times they have with their friends, kind of getting to navigate the middle school in an unstructured way. You know, it's being in the school without doing school. And I think those are the memories, the events, the times that our students hold on to when they leave here. They really kind of defines what middle school is all about. And so we were so grateful to Mrs. Connors, our sponsor of our student council, who was able to, along with the students of the student council, really come up with some innovative, creative ways to have a day of giving this year. So just wanted to kind of mention that because it was kind of the theme of the day. It was just, I think, just so grateful that we could give to others, to the community, but also grateful to have the opportunity to you know, celebrate, have a little fun, you know, let your hair down before a holiday break. So good times.
And here are just some of the photos of the kids creating. This photo here on the far right was them getting ready to make one of the dog toys. And then here, the photo next to it, they were also making the dog toys. They cut up T-shirts and put them in cardboard, and they were called, I think they're called sniffing boards for dog toys. And then these two photos, you can see the students making their no-sew throws to donate to the homeless. So they really just had as Dr. Maurer said, just a great day. And then another great day was our holiday extravaganza. Again, this was altered for those of you who have older students and myself being new. I never actually experienced the true holiday extravaganza, but we did a modified holiday extravaganza, and the kids seemed to have a whole lot of fun. Shout, that's Dr. Herring's group. They did handprints, heel footprints activity. And the students, we have a photo of it on the next slide, but the students actually put their handprints all over the walls in the cafeteria and on the columns in those white columns in the cafeteria. They have handprints. All of our students had the opportunity to do that. It didn't cost anything. It was just to participate. So there are some students that have, 10 handprints on the wall, and they just had such a really great time with that. And honestly, it has spruced up our cafeteria so much. It added that pop of color that made it look less like a school cafeteria and more like a fun space for middle school kids. So it was a really cool activity. Dr. Maurer was our bingo caller throughout the day. We had bingo all day in each of the classrooms, and he was our official bingo caller. And there were prizes for the winners. Students had a really great time guessing who's who on the staff. Now, I'm just going to give a preview. I'm not going to send this to anybody because our teachers and Dr. Maurer, myself, and some of our other staff members, we all submitted pictures of ourselves from when we were in middle school. And then the kids had to guess who was who. So this is just some of them. That was me. That's my middle school picture. Let's find Dr. Maurer's. There's Dr. Maurer's middle school picture. But it was just a really, really fun activity. The kids were all coming down and going, "Oh my gosh, like, your hair was crazy." And some of the other teachers going, "Oh, I didn't know you had braces." And so they really just had a fun time with this activity that they got to play on that day. They also participated in a bunch of really fun minute to win it games. And then, as we know, what keeps middle schoolers happy is there were snacks. And so they got some snacks and some hot chocolate. Here are some of the photos. Here are the handprints. Oh, and we forgot to mention, we had some visitors. We had Rudolph visiting us up here on the right. And then the Grinch made an appearance a number of times throughout that week and throughout that day. The next thing that we wanted to go over was the advisory program. I don't know.
Sure. So kind of go over, it's also another exciting part of the middle school model has been the advisory program that we created a few years ago. And, since March, 2020, we had to put a pause on our advisory program, on aspects of the program. And it really hadn't been what it was when we developed it. We had about 3 years running of the program and really created a nice program around, and it really was student-centered, which we'll go into detail about that. But this year with Dr. Cremone and myself, we kind of revamped the program. We looked at the whole program from start to finish. We wanted to make sure it was still very much student-centered, that we could still have a program that allows students to be paired with an adult of their choice. That's the special part of this program that really sets our program apart from any other middle school in the area, with the exception of one who actually came to our school to learn about our program and now is instituted in their own middle school, which is great. We want to kind of spread the word about this because we really do feel that our advisory program is exemplary. It's built on 3 pillars. three main pillars that our staff kind of came up with at the beginning of this, which was personalized support, peer connection, and academic progress. So anytime we meet in an advisory setting with this program, the goal or the focus is one or all of those pillars. As I said, we revamped it this year. We started the program in November, and it's been off and running. We have students who have selected their advisors, and the sessions in November that we had were focused on the pillar of personalized support. December, we focused on peer connection. Our next session is coming up next week, and the focus will be on academic progress, which is fitting timing for us now kind of coming to the end of the first semester, and also maybe goal setting for a successful second semester. It gives our students and our staff a chance to reset and kind of focus on goals, look at things, areas for improvement, areas that we're doing really well. But as I said, our students took part in the selection process in November, and they were able to select their own advisor. They took time to look at, it was almost like a showcase of our staff members, where they watched videos, short clips of videos from our staff members introducing themselves, talking about their passions, their experiences, their middle school upbringing, those type of things. And then our students got the chance to choose a group of the staff members that they would love to have as an advisor. So again, that's kind of like the meat and potatoes of our program, and what we feel so strongly about is that you know, often you'll see adults choosing the students that they feel they work best with, but we really want this to be student focused, student centered. So our students choose the adults that they want to meet with throughout the school year. So we're off and running. We're excited, looking forward to the future. Our goal moving forward after this year and into the next few years, if your child is in sixth grade, they would carry on with that advisor through their middle school years. So it gives kind of that opportunity to have that constant, that consistent adult that's the champion for them during their time through middle school. So exciting times with our advisory program, and we ask you all if you could add that to your daily, you know, your kind of check-in with your child. Hey, tell me about advisory program. You know, what's your advisor like? What are you doing with your advisor? Those type of questions, because that just reinforces, you know, how important it is to have that adult here at the school for them.
The next thing that I know the last time we met, we talked about, we were submitting the application for the Schools to Watch redesignation. And we had a group that came on in December to basically evaluate, to talk to students. Some of you may have had students, excuse me, with whom this group spoke to, and they talked to all of our staff, our teachers, and we were redesignated. We got the distinction as a Schools to Watch school. With that distinction, a team of administrators, teachers, counselors are going to be presenting at the PAMLE conference in February in State College. So we'll be presenting to middle school educators throughout the state of Pennsylvania. There's also going to be a whole school recognition celebration in the spring. So that will be with students, teachers. We're not exactly sure what that looks like yet, but we'll get there. It'll probably be in the month of May. And then 36 middle schools from across the Commonwealth have this distinction. The requirements for this distinction are academic excellence, developmental responsiveness, social equity, and organizational structures and processes. They also require strong leadership, teacher to improve curriculum and instruction, and then commitment to assessment and accountability to bring about continuous improvement. So when that team of educators came here to evaluate us in December, they asked questions to every member of our school community, students, parents, teachers, secretaries, cafeteria workers, custodians, bus drivers, central office. So everybody was a part of their asking. And so we are really honored to have this distinction. And I think, you know, for me personally, coming in new, this was a really great way to see all of the amazing things that have already been happening here. And then for us as a whole middle school team to see where maybe we can improve, things that we can improve upon. or also things that we could add to our robust curriculum, to our robust activity list, and ways to just continuously bring about change and to continuously improve. So it's a lot of work in the process, but it is absolutely worth it for our kids because it is something that will allow us to continuously meet their needs and change to meet their needs.
Yeah, and just to add to that, our school was designated as a school to watch initially in 2016, and we were so proud to get that recognition and award. And how the organization works is you don't just get that award and you're awarded that forever. There's an aspect of this that you need to show that you are continuously improving. And so in 2019, we earned our first redesignation, and we're very proud of that. We were up for our redesignation and got it again this year. So this is our second redesignation. And if you look at our middle school out front, we proudly display the awards, the banners that hang out front. And you'll be seeing the newest one coming towards the end of this school year to show that we've been redesignated from 2022 to 2025. So very excited. And as Dr. Cremone said, it is a challenging, rigorous process. It's not just that you apply and you are awarded. There's a committee that comes to the school, and as Dr. Cremone said, there's no stone left unturned. They're here all day and night looking at every facet of our school. So that's how we kind of know that this really is well-deserved, it's earned, and this is a well-respected award and recognition in the region. So very excited for that for our staff, our students, and for you, the parents, because we couldn't have earned this without everyone's support. It takes a village.
Just a reminder of our social hub. We try to post all of our information and just fun things happening. We do on Twitter, Instagram, and then on our school website. For any of you who do follow us on Twitter, you'll see every week we do a Lion in the Limelight. And that's really just because we know that as parents, you don't always know who's in the building and what they're doing. So we like to try to highlight our staff members who are going above and beyond and who are positively interacting with your children day in and day out. So check those out on Twitter if you haven't already. We also put those on Instagram, those Lions in the Limelight. And then we just post information. We might post that it's going to be a black and gold day. Actually, now that I say that, maybe we should have a black and gold day on Friday. Or maybe we'll say post information that we posted about this meeting on there. So just some ways for us to kind of break down the walls of the school building, since you can't necessarily be in the building, cool things happening in classes. So we try to get that out there so you can see what's happening in your kids' daily lives here at school. And then just some upcoming events. I know that these are also on the calendar, but just to put them on your radar, the end of Q2 is actually coming on Friday. So that also then means there's no school for students on Monday, the 17th. And then we have a 2-hour delay on January 24th and on February 14th. The February 14th one is the day after the Super Bowl. So that's always a nice little, if you want to stay up and watch the Super Bowl, even if it's just for the commercials, it's a 2-hour late start. And then you can see the rest of the dates, the interim grade reports available. We do have school on February 21st. So please make sure you mark that on your calendar. Initially, that was going to be a day off. But if you recall, we had the flood day during the first student week of school. So that will be our makeup day. And then please mark your calendars for the middle school musical. It's the Addams Family Young at Part, and the students are here a few days a week, and they are working so hard to make this an amazing musical. We can actually hear them from our offices. You can hear them singing and just the excitement surrounding that. So if you're able to, there will be more coming out as it gets closer, but to kind of pencil off those days to check it out, the kids would really love that. And then again, our March late start, which is March 7th. And then finally, our next PAC meeting is going to be on Wednesday, March 16th at 9 a.m. So as that date approaches, we will certainly be sending out information as to how to access it. and really looking forward to meeting with you. One of the things that we were thinking about, actually two of the things for that is, one, we had a request to consider changing the name of this group, because sometimes parents think that it's like an invitation only panel. So we are going to work towards changing the name for this group for the start of next year. It's already printed on all the calendars for this year, but we are going to work towards that. So we may be asking for some of your feedback and input at the next meeting. And then also we are also considering sending out, a couple weeks before that meeting, a survey to see what you want us to talk about, because we think what we want to tell you is something that would interest you, but we also want to know from you, what do you want to hear from us? So just be looking for that as we approach that next PAC date. Right. At this